The alarm bells rang through Deep Space Station Omega like thunder in the void. Commander Blake jumped from his chair, coffee spilling across his desk as red lights flashed throughout the control room. The massive screens showed data streams that made no sense. "Report!" Blake shouted over the noise. Officer Davis turned from his console, his face pale. "Sir, we have a contact, big one. Coming from outside the galaxy." Blake frowned. Nothing came from outside the galaxy. The void between galaxies was empty, cold, and dead. Every child in the Empire knew that. "Check your sensors, Davis. Must be a malfunction." "Already did, sir." 3 times, the readings are solid. Davis pointed at the main screen. "Whatever it is, it's huge. At least 5 kilometers long. And sir, it's moving fast, really fast." Blake walked to the sensor station. The numbers on the screen made his stomach drop. The object was traveling at speeds that should tear any ship apart. No known technology in the Empire could achieve such velocity without destroying itself. "How long until it reaches Imperial space?" Blake asked. "At current speed, 12 hours, sir." Blake rubbed his forehead. 12 hours to figure out what was heading toward the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Run a full scan. I want to know everything about this thing. Hull composition, energy signatures, anything. The next few hours passed in tense silence. The scanning results came back piece by piece, each one more confusing than the last. The ship's hull was made of materials that shouldn't exist. The energy readings showed power levels that exceeded the Empire's best battleships by a factor of 10. "Sir," Officer Martinez called from the communication station. "I've been trying to match the ship's design against our databases. Every ship class from all 1,000-member species of the Empire. And nothing, sir. This design doesn't exist in our records, not even close." Blake felt a chill run down his spine. The Galactic Empire had records of every ship ever built by every species they had encountered in their 1,000-year expansion across the galaxy. Their databases contained millions of ship designs, from tiny scouts to massive dreadnoughts. "Run it again," Blake ordered. "Check the restricted files. Military archives. Even the ancient databases from the old civilizations." Hours passed. The mysterious ship continued its approach, never changing course or speed. Martinez worked frantically, accessing database after database. Archaeological records, military intelligence files, even the theoretical ship designs from the Empire's top scientists. "Still nothing, sir," Martinez reported, sweat beading on his forehead. "This ship doesn't match anything in our records. It's like it was built by a species we've never encountered." Blake stared at the main screen. The ship was clearly visible now, a dark silhouette against the stars. Its design was unlike anything he had ever seen. Smooth lines flowed from front to back with no visible weapons or engine ports. It looked more like a work of art than a warship. "Sir," Davis called out urgently. "The ship is decelerating." Blake watched the speed readings drop rapidly. The ship was slowing down without any visible engine flare or energy discharge. Whatever technology it used, it was completely silent and left no trace. "Get me Admiral Kane," Blake ordered. "Priority channel." The communication screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Admiral Kane. The Admiral was known throughout the Empire for his strategic mind and calm demeanor, but even he looked concerned. "Commander Blake, I've been monitoring your ray reports. What's the status?" "Sir, the unknown vessel is now within our sensor range. We've completed full scans, but the results are troubling." "Explain." Blake took a deep breath. "The ship's technology is unlike anything in our databases. The hull materials don't match any known alloys. The power signature suggests an energy source we can't identify. And sir, the ship shows no signs of damage despite traveling at impossible speeds." Admiral Kane was quiet for a long moment. "You're certain your sensors are working correctly?" "Yes, sir. We've run full diagnostics twice. The readings are accurate." "Have you detected any life signs?" "That's another problem, sir. Our scanners can't penetrate the hull. Whatever material it's made from blocks our sensors completely." Admiral Kane's expression grew grave. In his 50 years of service to the Empire, he had never encountered a situation like this. The Empire's technology was supposed to be the most advanced in the galaxy. They had conquered and absorbed 1,000 different species, taking the best of each civilization's knowledge. "Commander, I'm ordering Fleet Group Alpha to your position. They'll arrive in 6 hours. Sir, is that wise?" "We don't know if this ship is hostile." "We don't know if it's friendly either, Commander. The Empire has survived for 1,000 years by being prepared for any threat. This ship represents an unknown factor, and unknown factors are dangerous." The communication ended, leaving Blake alone with his thoughts. He walked to the observation deck and stared out at the approaching vessel. It moved through space with an elegance that seemed almost alive, as if the ship itself was a living creature. Rather than a machine, Officer Davis joined him at the observation window. "Sir, what do you think it is?" Blake shook his head. "I don't know, Davis, but whatever built that ship has technology far beyond our understanding. Do you think they're hostile?" "That's what scares me most," Blake replied quietly. "If they wanted to attack us, we probably wouldn't even see them coming." The ship continued its approach, silent and mysterious. Every few minutes, the sensors detected brief energy pulses from the vessel, but the patterns made no sense. It was as if the ship was scanning everything around it, learning about the Empire's technology and defenses. In the depths of space, the unknown vessel maintained its steady course toward the heart of the Galactic Empire. Its hull gleamed with an inner light that no Imperial scientist could explain. Inside the ship, systems far beyond the Empire's understanding monitored every transmission, every sensor sweep, every defensive position. The Galactic Empire, rulers of 1,000 worlds and 1,000 species, was about to face something completely outside their experience. Something that would challenge everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and their place in it. As the hours passed and Fleet Group Alpha raced toward the intercept point, one question echoed through every Imperial command center. What kind of beings could build a ship that existed in no records, used no known technology, and traveled from the empty void between galaxies? The answer would soon change everything. Fleet Group Alpha arrived at Deep Space Station Omega exactly 6 hours after Admiral Kane's order. 12 of the Empire's most advanced warships took position around the unknown vessel, which had stopped moving and now hung motionless in space. Like a sleeping giant. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the flagship Phoenix, watching the alien ship through the main view screen. In her 20 years of diplomatic service, she had made first contact with dozens of new species. But this was different. This ship radiated an aura of power that made her feel small and insignificant. "Captain," Communications Officer Park called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel." Torres felt her heart skip a beat. After hours of silence, the ship was finally trying to communicate. "Put it through, Park." The bridge. Speakers crackled to life, filling the air with sounds unlike anything the crew had ever heard. The transmission consisted of rhythmic tones and complex patterns that rose and fell like music. But beneath the beauty lay something alien and incomprehensible. Can the translation computer make sense of it? Torres asked. Park worked frantically at his console, running the transmission through every language database in the Empire's records. Minutes passed as the computer analyzed the sounds, comparing them to the languages of 1,000 different species. "Nothing, Captain," Park reported, frustration clear in his voice. "The computer can't find any matching patterns." "This language doesn't exist in our databases," Torres frowned. The Empire's translation systems were the most advanced in the galaxy. They could decode languages from species that had been extinct for millions of years. Yet this transmission remained a complete mystery. Keep trying, Park. Run it through the deep archives. Check the theoretical language models. The unknown ship continued broadcasting its message, repeating the same sequence of sounds over and over. The tone seemed peaceful, almost welcoming. But Torres couldn't be sure. Alien minds worked in ways that humans and other Empire species often couldn't understand. Captain Torres, Admiral Kane's voice came through the communication system. What's your assessment? The ship is trying to communicate, sir, but we can't decode the language. The message seems non-threatening, but that's just my impression. Understood. I want you to respond using standard first contact protocols. Use the universal greeting sequence. Torres nodded to Park, who activated the Empire's standard first contact transmission. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, and basic pictographs flowed from the Phoenix toward the alien vessel. These symbols had successfully established communication. With every new species the Empire had encountered, the response was immediate. The alien ship stopped its transmission and fell silent for several minutes. Then it began broadcasting again, but this time the message was different. The tones were sharper, more complex, and they seemed to be responding to the Empire's mathematical signals. They're learning, Torres whispered in amazement. They're analyzing our transmission and trying to establish a common language base. Dr. Reed, the fleet's xenobiologist, studied the new transmission patterns on his portable scanner. Captain, the complexity of this response suggests extremely advanced intelligence. They're not just copying our signals, they're improving on them. For the next 4 hours, the two ships exchanged increasingly complex mathematical and scientific concepts. The alien vessel demonstrated understanding of physics, chemistry, and astronomy that matched the Empire's best knowledge. But their methods were different, showing approaches to science that the Empire had never considered. Captain, Park announced excitedly, I think they're trying to establish basic vocabulary. They're sending visual symbols along with the audio now. The main screen filled with geometric shapes and patterns that slowly began to make sense. Simple concepts like numbers, directions, and basic objects. The alien intelligence was teaching the Empire crew how to understand their language. This is incredible, Dr. Reed muttered, recording everything. They're not just intelligent, they're patient teachers. Most species would have given up or become hostile by now. As communication slowly improved, Torres began to feel hopeful. The aliens seemed peaceful and willing to work together to establish understanding. But then something changed. Captain, the sensor operator called out urgently. The alien ship is moving. Torres looked at the tactical display. The unknown vessel was slowly changing position, moving away from the fleet formation. Its movements were smooth and controlled, showing no signs of aggression, but it was clearly leaving the area. Hail them, Torres ordered. Send the peaceful, intense symbols we've established. The response came back immediately, but the tone was different. The aliens were acknowledging the Empire's message, but making it clear they intended to continue on their original course. They're heading toward the inner systems, the navigation officer reported. Current trajectory will take them straight through Imperial space toward the core worlds. Torres felt a chill of fear. The core worlds contained billions of Imperial citizens and the Empire's most important installations. If this ship had hostile intentions, it could cause massive damage before the fleet could stop it. Send an intercept course message, Torres ordered. Make it clear we need them to change direction. The alien response was polite but firm. They sent back images showing their intended path and symbols that seemed to indicate they had peaceful purposes. But they showed no intention of changing course. Captain, Admiral Kane's voice cut through the tension. What's their response? To our request? They're refusing to alter course, sir. They seem peaceful, but they're determined to continue toward the core worlds. That's unacceptable. The safety of Imperial citizens comes first. Move to intercept. Torres hesitated. The alien ship had shown no hostility, and their communication attempts suggested intelligence and peaceful intentions. But orders were orders. All ships move to intercept the unknown vessel, Torres commanded. Maintain defensive positions. Do not fire unless fired upon. The Imperial fleet moved into formation, creating a barrier between the alien ship and the inner systems. 12 powerful warships spread across space, their weapons ready, but not yet aimed at the intruder. The alien ship's response was immediate and shocking. Without any visible effort, it simply moved around the Imperial formation. The vessel didn't accelerate or change course dramatically. It just seemed to slide through space in ways that defied physics. How did they do that? The tactical officer gasped. Our sensors show they never exceeded their previous speed, but they're past our formation. Torres watched in amazement as the alien ship continued on its course, leaving the Imperial fleet behind like they were standing still. The vessel's maneuverability was beyond anything in the Empire's experience. All ships, pursue and attempt to re-establish intercept, Torres ordered, but she knew it was hopeless. Whatever technology the aliens possessed, it was far superior to anything the Empire had done. As the unknown ship continued toward the heart of Imperial space, Torres realized they were dealing with something completely beyond their understanding. The peaceful communication had been encouraging, but the ease with which the aliens had bypassed the Empire's best fleet was terrifying. "Captain," Dr. Reed said quietly, "I don't think we're dealing with just another alien species. The technology they're displaying suggests a level of advancement that puts them far ahead of anything in the Empire." Torres nodded grimly. The Empire had always been the most powerful force in the galaxy, but this ship was making them look like children playing with toys. Whatever these aliens wanted, the Empire might not have any choice but to give it to them. Dr. Martinez had not slept in 36 hours. Her eyes were red and burning as she stared at the linguistic analysis screens in the HFY, Empire's most advanced translation facility on Central Command Station. The alien transmission patterns covered every wall, creating a maze of symbols, sounds, and mathematical relationships that seemed to mock her efforts. "Doctor, you need to rest," her assistant Tom said, bringing her another cup of coffee. "You've been at this for days." Martinez shook her head. "I'm close, Tom. I can feel it. There's a pattern here that I'm missing." She pointed at a section of the display. "Look at these recurring sequences. They're not random. There's a structure underneath that I almost understand." The mysterious ship had been sending regular transmissions as it moved deeper into Imperial space. Each message was more complex than the last, but Martinez was beginning to see the logic behind the alien language. It was unlike anything in the Empire's databases, yet it felt strangely familiar. "Doctor," Tom called out excitedly. "The ship is transmitting again, but this time it's different." Martinez turned to the main screen as new symbols appeared. These were clearer, simpler, and seemed to be responding directly to the Empire's latest communication attempts. The aliens were adapting their language to make it easier for the Empire to understand. "They're helping us," Martinez whispered. "They want us to understand them." For the next 6 hours, Martinez worked with renewed energy. The aliens were patient teachers, repeating concepts and building vocabulary step by step. Slowly, the strange language began to make sense. "Tom, record." "This," Martinez said, her voice shaking with excitement. "I think I've got their basic word for identification." The alien transmission played through the speakers, and Martinez listened carefully to the pronunciation. "They're calling themselves humans." She frowned. "That's strange. The word sounds almost familiar." Tom checked the linguistic databases. Doctor, there's no record of any species calling themselves humans in our files. But the word structure is similar to some ancient languages from the Outer Rim. Martinez continued working, building a vocabulary of basic concepts. The aliens, humans, were extremely helpful, providing visual context for their words and patiently correcting the Empire's attempts at communication. Then came the breakthrough that changed everything. Tom, they're sending location data, Martinez called out as new symbols appeared on the screen. They're telling us where they come from. The coordinates appeared in mathematical format that was easy to translate. Martinez fed the numbers into the Empire's navigation system and waited for the results. When the location appeared on the galactic map, her face went pale. "That can't be right," she whispered. Tom looked at the display. "Doctor, that sector was surveyed 800 years ago. The reports show it's completely lifeless. Nothing but dead rocks and gas giants." Martinez double-checked the coordinates, running them through the system multiple times. The results were always the same. The humans claimed to come from a region of space that the Empire had marked as uninhabitable. "Get me Admiral Kane," Martinez ordered. "Priority channel." Admiral Kane's stern face appeared on the communication screen within minutes. "Dr. Martinez, I hope you have good news." "Sir, I've successfully decoded portions of the alien language. They call themselves humans, and they've provided their point of origin." "Excellent work, Doctor. Where are they from?" Martinez hesitated. "Sir, they claim to come from a planet they call Earth, located in Sector 7G Delta. But sir, our records show that sector has no habitable worlds." Admiral Kane was silent for a long moment. "Are you certain about the translation?" "Yes, sir. They've been very clear about their origin point. But there's more, sir. They've been sending additional information about their journey." "Explain." Martinez took a deep breath. "According to their transmissions, they've been traveling for generations. They say their homeworld became uninhabitable, and they sent out colony ships to find new worlds." "Colony ships?" "Plural. Yes, sir. They've mentioned dozens of ships, each taking different routes across the galaxy. This is apparently just one of many human vessels searching for new homes." Admiral Kane's expression grew grave. The Empire was dealing with not just one advanced ship, but potentially dozens of them scattered across the galaxy. "Doctor, what else have they told you about their technology?" "That's what concerns me most, sir. When I ask about their ship's capabilities, they respond as if their technology is completely normal. They seem surprised that we find their speed and maneuverability impressive." "Continue your translation work, Doctor. I need to know everything about these humans." The communication ended, leaving Martinez alone with the growing realization that the Empire was facing something unprecedented. She returned to her work, building a more complete understanding of the human language. Over the next several hours, more disturbing information emerged from the transmissions. The humans spoke casually about technologies that the Empire considered impossible. They mentioned manipulating space-time, harnessing energy from quantum fluctuations, and building materials at the molecular level. "Doctor," Tom said quietly, "listen to this latest transmission. They're talking about their ship's AI system." Martinez listened to the alien words, now understanding much of their meaning. The humans were describing an artificial intelligence that managed their ship's systems, but they spoke about it as if it were a living crew member. "They're saying their AI's been observing our communications," Martinez translated. "It's been learning about the Empire while we've been trying to understand them." Tom looked worried. "Doctor, if their AI has been monitoring our transmissions, it knows everything about our technology, our defenses, our weaknesses." Martinez felt a chill run down her spine. The humans had been politely establishing communication while their artificial intelligence analyzed everything about the Empire. They weren't just more advanced, they were strategically superior as well. The next transmission from the human ship contained a name, Captain Anderson. The humans were finally introducing their leadership, suggesting they were ready for more formal communication. "Tom, prepare a detailed report for Admiral Kane," Martinez ordered. "Include everything we've learned about human technology, their origin story, and the fact that there are more ships out there." As Martinez compiled her findings, one fact stood out above all others. The humans had traveled from a dead sector of space, possessed technology far beyond the Empire's understanding, and spoke about their capabilities as if they were completely ordinary. "Doctor," Tom said, reading over her shoulder, "do you think they're telling the truth about coming from a lifeless sector?" Martinez stared at the galactic map, showing the coordinates the humans had provided. "Tom, what if our surveys were wrong? What if we missed something 800 years ago?" "You mean they were there all along? Or what if they made that dead world livable? What if their technology was so advanced that they could terraform planets we considered hopeless?" The implications were staggering. If the humans could make dead worlds habitable, if they could travel between galaxies, if they possessed artificial intelligence that surpassed the Empire's best computers, then the Galactic Empire was no longer the most powerful force in known space. Martinez looked at the translation display, showing the patient, friendly messages from Captain Anderson and his crew. The humans seemed peaceful, but their casual demonstration of superior technology was more intimidating than any threat. Admiral Kane stood in the command center of the Imperial flagship, watching the tactical display with growing unease. The human vessel had entered the core systems and was moving steadily toward the capital world. 3 full battle groups now surrounded the ship, creating the largest military formation the Empire had assembled in decades. "Sir," Captain Roberts reported from the tactical station, "all ships are in position. We have the human vessel completely surrounded." Kane studied the formation. 36 of the Empire's most powerful warships formed a perfect sphere around the human ship. Each vessel carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon, yet Kane felt no confidence in his overwhelming numerical advantage. "Open a channel." To the human ship, Kane ordered. "It's time to be direct with them." The communication screen flickered to life, showing the face of Captain Anderson. The human appeared calm and relaxed, showing no concern about being surrounded by the Empire's fleet. His uniform was simple and practical, unlike the elaborate dress of Imperial officers. "Admiral Kane," Anderson said in accented but clear Imperial standard, "I appreciate your patience while our AI learned your language." Kane was surprised by how quickly the humans had mastered Imperial standard. Their pronunciation was nearly perfect after only days of exposure. "Captain Anderson, I must inform you that you're now in restricted Imperial space. You need to change course immediately." Anderson smiled politely. "Admiral, we appreciate your concern, but we have no hostile intentions. We're simply passing through your territory on our way to the Outer Rim." "That's not acceptable, Captain. No unregistered vessel can travel through core Imperial space without proper authorization. You'll need to submit to escort to a processing facility." The human captain's expression remained friendly but firm. "I'm afraid we can't agree to that, Admiral. We have our own mission to complete." Kane felt his patience wearing thin. The Empire's authority had never been questioned so politely before. "Captain Anderson, you're surrounded by 36 Imperial warships. You don't have a choice in this matter." "Admiral," Anderson replied calmly, "I think there's been a misunderstanding about our respective capabilities." Without any visible signal or preparation, the human ship simply moved. One moment it was in the center of the Imperial formation, and the next it was outside the sphere of warships, having passed through the fleet without touching a single vessel. How did they do that? Captain Roberts gasped, staring at the tactical display in disbelief. Kane watched the sensors, trying to understand what had just happened. The human ship hadn't accelerated past the Imperial vessels. It hadn't used any energy weapons to create a path. It had simply moved through solid matter as if the Imperial ships weren't there. Captain Anderson, Kane called through the communication channel. Explain what just happened. We used phase-shifting technology, Anderson replied as if it were the most natural thing in the world. We temporarily adjusted our ship's quantum state to pass through normal matter. It's quite safe for both our vessels. Dr. Rivera, the Empire's chief scientist, stood behind Kane listening to every word. Her face had gone pale as she realized the implications of what they had just witnessed. Admiral, Dr. Rivera whispered, if they can phase through solid matter at will, our weapons can't touch them. They could pass through planetary shields, ship hulls, anything. Kane felt a cold fear settling in his stomach. The Empire's entire military doctrine was based on controlling space through superior firepower and defensive positions. If the humans could simply ignore physical barriers, then every Imperial advantage was meaningless. Captain Anderson, Kane said carefully, that's impressive technology. But you still can't proceed without Imperial authorization. Admiral, perhaps we should demonstrate the full extent of our capabilities, Anderson replied. We don't want any misunderstandings. The human ship suddenly began broadcasting an energy signal unlike anything in the Imperial databases. The signal spread outward at the speed of light, reaching every ship in the formation simultaneously. Sir, the communications officer called out urgently, all ships are reporting system failures. Weapons, shields, engines, everything is shutting down. Kane watched in horror as ship after ship reported complete power loss. The most advanced vessels in the Imperial fleet were being disabled by an energy pulse that caused no physical damage, but rendered them completely helpless. Don't worry, Admiral, Anderson's voice came through the communication system, which somehow remained unaffected. Your ships are unharmed. We've simply temporarily disrupted your power systems. Everything will return to normal in a few minutes. Dr. Rivera grabbed Kane's arm. Admiral, they're not just disabling our ships. They're doing it selectively. Life support, communications, and artificial gravity are still working. They're only targeting weapons and propulsion. Kane realized the terrifying precision of the human technology. They could disable an entire fleet while ensuring no one was harmed. It was a demonstration of power that was both overwhelming and merciful. Captain Anderson, Kane said, trying to keep his voice steady, you've made your point. Your technology is superior to ours. We didn't want to embarrass your fleet, Admiral, Anderson replied sincerely. But we needed you to understand that this confrontation is unnecessary. We have no desire to harm anyone. As promised, the Imperial ships began coming back online after a few minutes. Engines restarted, weapon systems powered up, and shields returned to full strength. But everyone in the fleet now understood how easily the humans could disable them again. Admiral, Dr. Rivera said quietly, their technology operates on principles we don't even understand. They're manipulating quantum fields, disrupting electromagnetic systems, and phasing through matter. They're centuries ahead of us. Kane stared at the human ship on his screen. It appeared so simple and elegant compared to the massive, heavily armed Imperial vessels. Yet it had just demonstrated the ability to neutralize the Empire's most powerful fleet without causing a single casualty. Captain Anderson, Kane said finally, what do you want from the Empire? Nothing, Admiral, Anderson replied. We're not conquerors or raiders. We're simply travelers looking for a new home. We'll pass through your space and continue on our way. And if we try to stop you again? Anderson's expression remained friendly, but his words carried unmistakable weight. Admiral, we've shown you that we can defend ourselves without harming anyone. But we'd prefer to avoid further demonstrations. Kane understood the implied threat. The humans could disable his entire fleet whenever they chose. They could probably penetrate any Imperial defense and reach any target in the Empire. Yet they were choosing to be peaceful. Dr. Rivera, Kane said quietly, in your professional opinion, How advanced is their technology compared to ours? Dr. Rivera looked at the data from the encounter, her hands shaking slightly. Admiral, based on what we've seen, I'd estimate they're at least 200 years ahead of us, maybe more. Their understanding of physics is fundamentally different from ours. Kane watched the human ship as it prepared to continue its journey through Imperial space. 36 of the Empire's finest warships surrounded it, but they might as well have been children's toys for all the threat they represented. Captain Anderson, Kane said, you're free to proceed. Thank you for your understanding, Admiral. Anderson replied, we hope this encounter leads to better relations between our peoples. The human ship moved away from the Imperial formation with the same impossible grace it had shown before. Kane watched it go, knowing that everything had just changed for the Galactic Empire. Emperor Voss sat in the great throne room of the Imperial Palace, surrounded by the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The emergency council session had been called after Admiral Kane's report about the human encounter. Representatives from all major species in the Empire filled the vast chamber, their voices creating a buzz of worried conversation. Silence, Emperor Voss commanded, and the room fell quiet instantly. The Emperor was an imposing figure, tall and stern, who had ruled the Empire for 30 years through strength and absolute authority. Admiral Kane stood before the throne, still shaken by his encounter with the human vessel. Your Majesty, the situation is unprecedented. This single human ship possesses technology that makes our entire fleet obsolete. Counselor Gray, the Empire's chief military advisor, leaned forward in his seat. Admiral, surely you're exaggerating. No single ship can threaten the entire Empire. Counselor, I watched them disable 36 of our best warships without firing a shot, Kane replied firmly. They could have destroyed us all, but they chose not to. That restraint was more terrifying than any weapon. Dr. Rivera stepped forward, carrying data tablets filled with analysis from the encounter. Your Majesty, I've studied their technology. Demonstrations. The humans operate on scientific principles we don't understand. They can manipulate matter at the quantum level, phase through solid objects, and disrupt our systems at will. Emperor Voss studied the reports in silence. The Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds by being stronger than everyone else. Now they faced beings who made them look primitive. What do these humans want? The Emperor asked. That's what makes this situation so unusual, Your Majesty, Kane replied. They claim to want nothing from us. They say they're just passing through our space looking for a new home. And you believe them? Kane hesitated. Your Majesty, their actions support their words. They could have attacked us at any time, but they've shown remarkable restraint. They seem genuinely peaceful. Suddenly, the communication systems throughout the palace activated without being turned on. Every screen, every speaker, every display showed the same thing, the calm face of Captain Anderson. Citizens of the Galactic Empire, Anderson said, his voice reaching every corner of Imperial space simultaneously. I am Captain Anderson of the human vessel Hope's Journey. We apologize for interrupting your proceedings, but we have an important message. Emperor Voss stood up from his throne, rage filling his face. How dare you invade our communications? Guards, shut down all systems. The guards tried frantically to disable the communication networks, but nothing worked. The human broadcast continued uninterrupted. Your Majesty, Anderson said, looking directly at the Emperor through the screens, we mean no disrespect. But what we have to say affects the future of your empire. Dr. Rivera watched in amazement as the humans demonstrated complete control over Imperial technology. They had somehow taken over every communication system in the Empire without causing any damage or disruption to other functions. We have been observing your empire for some time, Anderson continued. Our AI systems have monitored your expansion across the galaxy, and we have concerns about your methods. Counselor Gray stood up angrily. What right do you have to judge? U.S. We brought peace and order to 1,000 worlds. Anderson's expression remained calm but serious. Counselor, we've studied your history. You've conquered species, destroyed cultures, and forced entire civilizations to abandon their ways of life. That's not peace, that's oppression. Emperor Voss felt his authority being challenged for the first time in decades. We united the galaxy under one rule. We ended wars and brought stability. At what cost? Anderson asked. How many species have lost their independence? How many unique cultures have been erased? How many beings live as second-class citizens in their own worlds? Murmurs spread through the council chamber as Anderson's words hit home. Many of the non-human counselors looked uncomfortable, remembering their own people's conquest by the Empire. We are not here to destroy your empire, Anderson continued. But we cannot allow your expansion to continue unchecked. We've seen too many civilizations like yours rise and fall throughout the galaxy. Dr. Rivera leaned toward Admiral Kane. Admiral, how many human ships did they say were out there? Dozens, Kane whispered back. Maybe more. Anderson seemed to hear their conversation despite the distance. Dr. Rivera is correct to be concerned about our numbers. There are currently 47 human vessels traveling through this galaxy, each with capabilities similar to ours. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices. 47 ships, each capable of disabling the Empire's best fleets. The implications were staggering. But we're not an invasion force, Anderson continued. We're refugees from a dying world, looking for new homes among the stars. We've spread across multiple galaxies, learning from the civilizations we encounter. Emperor Voss struggled to maintain his composure. What do you want from us? Change, Anderson replied simply. We want you to give your member species real autonomy. Let them govern themselves, practice their own cultures, and choose their own futures. Transform your empire from a conquering force into a cooperative alliance. That's impossible, Counselor Gray protested. The empire would collapse without central authority. Would it? Anderson asked. Or would it become something better? We've seen other civilizations make this transition successfully. Forced unity is always temporary, but willing cooperation can last forever. Admiral Kane found himself thinking about the human demonstration of power. They could have simply destroyed the Imperial fleet and taken whatever they wanted. Instead, they were asking for peaceful change. And if we refuse? Emperor Voss asked, though he already suspected the answer. Then when the rest of our fleet arrives, we'll ensure the change happens anyway, Anderson replied. But we'd prefer to work with you rather than against you. Dr. Rivera stepped forward. Captain Anderson, why do you care what happens to our empire? You said you're just passing through. Anderson smiled sadly. Dr. Rivera, we care because we've made the same mistakes your empire is making now. On Earth, our species spent centuries conquering and oppressing each other. We learned too late that cooperation is stronger than conquest. What happened to Earth? Emperor Voss asked quietly. We destroyed it, Anderson replied with deep sadness. Not through war, but through the damage caused by thousands of years of conflict and exploitation. We had to leave our home because we made it uninhabitable. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just technologically superior. They were survivors of their own civilization's mistakes. You have 7 days to begin implementing reforms, Anderson announced. Start by granting autonomy to your member species. Allow them to choose their own governments and withdraw imperial control from their internal affairs. And if we need more time, Admiral Kane asked. Then you'll have it, Anderson replied. We're not monsters. We understand that change takes time. But the process must begin. The communication screens went dark, returning control to the Imperial systems. Emperor Voss looked around the chamber at faces filled with fear, confusion, and uncertainty. "Your Majesty," Dr. Rivera said quietly, "I believe they're telling the truth about wanting peaceful change. They have the power to force us, but they're giving us a choice." Emperor Voss sank back into his throne, feeling the weight of an impossible decision. Change everything the Empire stood for, or face beings whose technology made resistance futile. For the first time in his reign, the Emperor of the Galaxy felt truly powerless.